All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, welcome back. So a little bit ago I was talking about this idea of mastery and being a parent and how it ties into martial arts. So let me walk you through the diagram. We're going to do some graphic overlays on this one. So this is how I work with my students in the martial arts school, but it's also how I work with parents and grandparents to explain a lot of the multi-generational challenges that we have. So we begin down here. We've got this little swervy line, and that is what I call being a follower. And that is when somebody takes you through a process, right? Whatever that process is. You're learning how to tie your shoes, or you're learning how to do differential calculus, or you're learning how to program a mainframe, or you're learning how to write code, or you're learning how to kiss, or you're learning how to drive, you're learning how to be a parent. Someone just does the thing on you or with you, and there it is, it's just happening, right? So you have an experience at the bottom of this thing. Now, once you've had some experience, in my martial arts school, we're going to teach you how to do a drill. So you have somebody take you through the drill and copy me and let's go. That's being a follower. It's receiving the energy. Now, the other half of this, when you're on top, is now being the leader. And as the leader, you are taking someone through the process. You're showing them how to do this thing, whatever it is. You're explaining it. You're helping them to see it, hear it, feel it, know it. This is the idea. So those two parts linked together to be a leader, to be a follower and then be a leader, allows you to get a more complete picture. So think about it as a parent. First, you were parented, which is down here, and then you were doing the parenting, which is up here. And so now, by having been in those two roles, you have achieved something called awareness. You need to have both roles. You need to have the bottom part and the top part, the following and the leading. You need both of them to really understand, no, not to understand, to be aware. Does this make sense? So you go, okay, I got it. Now, the next piece is over here on the side. We call this understanding. And understanding is you begin to see the linkages between the follower parts and the leader parts. You see all the little spokes of the wheel. And that's how I draw that as little spokes. But the understanding is a step deeper. And it's very challenging when you are living your life to find those understandings when you're in the thick of it, right? So when we're sparring, you're learning, sparring is a form of training for martial arts where it's a little bit more free and we're punching and kicking and grabbing and attacking and choking and locking and sweeping and throwing and doing all our stuff, but it's in a free format, not a fixed exercise that you know what's going to happen, I know what's going to happen. We're both trying to apply our skill against each other, and we're not really cooperating with each other to help get the other person to accomplish. I don't want you to punch me. I don't want you to kick me, but I want to punch you. I want to kick you, as the example. So when you're in sparring, it's a laboratory to experiment and try stuff, but it's really, really hard to stop in the middle of it to dissect what's going on, because when you stop, your opponent did not, you're going to get hit. And this is like, as a parent, you're in the middle of a meltdown with a 2-year-old, not the time to try and stop and analyze what's happening, because you still got a 2-year-old in snot and tears all over the floor, making a big mess and screaming and yelling and red in the face and going to hurt somebody with themselves. Does this make sense? So when they're in that moment of meltdown, you're in the reality of the moment. You got to just go. It's when you're out of the environment, you can sit back and go, okay, now what just happened? What could I do differently? How do I show up? What triggered? That's the idea. We start getting the understanding. You have to be able to step out of the environment. And a lot of times, grandparents have much more understanding than parents because 2 reasons. Number one, the grandparents are a step removed from the child. There's a level of emotional detachment that allows them to think things through. And number 2, because they've been through both being parented and parenting, they now have more awareness, which allows them to create understanding. Does this make sense? So this is kind of the logic flow of how we learn. And then this last piece over here, there is a little gap. There's a gap, and then it says mastery. And that's the part where it becomes that you own a unique process. And one of my mentors, Gary Vee, talks about this idea of self-awareness and being really honestly true about who you are. Like he says, you do you. So don't make apologies for you being who you are. Don't be a jerk and stay obstinate and stubborn and cause problems, because that's just asinine. But be honest with the things that you like and the things you don't like, the things you're good at and the things you're not good at. Don't try to be all things to all people because you think you're supposed to. Be really honest with who you are and where your heart is and where your capability is. Because when you do that, that allows you to create this thing, over here, we call this thing mastery, and it really is, it's a unique thing that it is you. Right? I heard Tony Robbins one time at the Experts Academy with Brandon Burchard talking about don't be an expert. Because if you want to be an expert, I can out-expert you. I can just read 30 books and I've got enough marketing acumen that I can bury you. So don't be an expert. So what does he offer in exchange? Be an authority. because nobody can own your story or your experience or your world the way that you can, right? In the martial art world, we would say, be your own master. It doesn't mean just make crap up and there you go. It's you get to a point of winnowing away the illusionary to get to the most real and the most honest, and it's who you are as a unique energy moving through space and time. Right? In our system, we look at people as positive energy occupying space moving forward through time. And this is really each one of you, each one of us, we have a unique gift to offer the rest of humanity, the rest of the world, the rest of history. But do we dare step into that space of power and strength and be honest with ourselves and be who we really are? And so that's this component over here we call mastery. That's that piece. Not everybody reaches it. That's why there's that gap, because it does take something to want to go from this, I understand, to jump the chasm into the mastery component of it. Okay? So parents, for you, as you're working with your children, take that pause occasionally, step back and reflect and go, okay, what could I have done different? How did I show up? How did they show up? What triggered? What caused? Start to look for those little spokes. Or you can hire somebody like me, and I have a lot of friends that are also very capable as coaches for families and kids. My energy may not be appropriate for you, but I have friends that might be, and we'll have them on the show as well, so you'll see them and have their perspective on some things. But you can hire somebody to save you decades, right? You can make the same mistakes as everybody else, or you can hire someone to help you skip over that stuff, right? And you've only got 15, 20 years to influence your kids from the get-go before they're out on their own and making their own things happen in their own lives. So it behooves you and them that if you feel like you're having a challenge, invest the time and the energy, talk with someone who has a bigger perspective and could maybe help save you some time, save you some energy, some headache, and most importantly, some heartache. Okay? So mastery is a process. Follower, leader, that leads to awareness. Then you have to have detachment. You have to have room to get to that place of understanding, and eventually you could reach for mastery. So it's something I wanted to share with you based on our last talk, something that could add some perspective to your parenting program. And what I like to say is the parenting game, right? So get out there, have fun, and score some points. You make it a fantastic day. I'll see you when I see you.